How's it going? This is Jeremy with my new channel, INFP Happy Hour. We'll see how this goes. I've had some ideas for different videos I kind of wanted to make on some of the INFP isms that are out there. There's quite a few um, little unique kind of things to INFPs that are crazy. But one that I wanted to cover today was INFP affinity for like disabled children. So let's do it. Shyness isn't nice, and shyness can stop you from doing all the things in life that
you'd like to. Thank you very much. Did you make these yourself?
I thought XL, I drew him in his house and his little door.
Oh, these are real treasures. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Would you like to see XL?
You're a little happy there, huh? That makes you just a little bit happy, huh?
Oh, hello there. Hello, everybody. I'm X the Owl. I hear you drew a picture of me.
I guess it was last October. It's been a year since I took the MBTI and found out I was INFP. And I did it at 16 personalities, which I think a lot of people go to, and started reading the descriptions and, the bio. It tells you about relationships, career, all this good stuff. And like many people who take it, you're just kind of blown away about how accurate it is. And it's like you're literally reading about yourself and all these things, all these past memories started. Actually, they didn't all come right away. Like I would think about things in the coming weeks, like little things that I just totally forgotten about myself. Like, oh, I had this crazy thing for Audrey Hepburn, and I used to make shirts with Audrey Hepburn on them. I was just this huge Audrey file, and I was a big Edward Scissorhands fan. I was a big Andy Warhol fan. All these folks are, fiction, fictitious or not, very INFP. And I guess I was drawn to these. I don't know. Yeah. So, I'm sure you can relate. Anyways, one of the things that did stand out to me right away was it talks about in the 16 personalities description of INFPs that they tend to have a strong affinity for disabled children. And I recognize that right away. I definitely had some experiences that I'm going to go through a little bit. And I just, some past experiences like came to me and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. But I would say in the early 90s, no, sorry, I guess this was about 1999. I was a waiter at a kind of high-end Cajun restaurant called Papados here in San Antonio. Really good food. Anyways, I was real busy night. I think it was probably a weekend. It was a weekend. It was super busy. And anyways, I didn't have this table, but there was this family that was at one of the larger tables we had. There was a family. They were all around. And one of the boys was, I guess he was about 16, 17 years old. And he definitely had some severe disabilities. I mean, like severe cerebral palsy is what I'm guessing. He was in a wheelchair that was, had a lot of accommodations. There were just a lot of like electronic things that were on this wheelchair. Like one of them, I think, was like to help him eat. I mean, I forget. So basically, I just walked past them, and I remember seeing him like he was like trying to take a bite of his food, and he was just kind of struggling getting the fork to his mouth. And it just like I was just kind of like paralyzed almost. I mean, I was doing my thing, walking to my tables. I forget exactly, what I did, but I remember seeing him, you know, uh, struggling to take a bite of his food, and just hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, it was just like I felt it, um, just like extreme compassion, extreme pity, I think. Um, but yeah, and so when I read that thing about, oh well, INFPs sometimes have this affinity for disabled children. I remember that so clearly. But then there was after, like sometime later, there was another incident where, I shouldn't say incident, but I was at a grocery store, and um, a mother, I would say, 40s, something like that, um, was with her adult disabled child. He was probably 18ish. He was, like a young adult. And I'd never really seen this before, but the mother had like was tethered to her son with like a cord. So basically, I guess maybe he had problems. He would wander off, and uh, so I mean, I saw the mother and her child, tethered with this cord, and I don't know if it's something about like just their innocence, and I think that's what a lot of it has to do. That would I think that's kind of what hit me with the young man in the wheelchair at the restaurant too. Is like maybe an INFP kind of really feels. It's hard to explain. Maybe it's just because we're sensitive. I don't know, but we just feel their innocence. We. So it's so hard to explain, but like we know they'll never experience like adult pleasures, sex, um, alcohol. Just like they'll never experience these adult things. Let's say, and um, when we see them in this kind of bubble of innocence, for lack of a better word, it's like this world we almost want to live in. Like we're almost jealous of this bubble of innocence. Again, it's probably a terrible way to explain it, but um, it's just very moving. And so it's the same thing, in the grocery store. I remember after, they came across the aisle, and I was just immediately kind of, transfixed by, the mother and child. And I remember I had to, and again, this is going to sound strange, but I was just so taken by the scene, again, taken by this young man's innocence again. And I had to just I had to just kind of hide into another aisle and almost like catch my breath. It sounds crazy, I know, but like I was just moved so much that I forgot what I was looking for. Like the shopping that I was doing kind of just comes to a halt, and I went into another aisle so I could like kind of gather my thoughts and just kind of almost like compose myself. It's just really weird, but I'm telling you, like when when I saw that in the 16 personalities test, again, this affinity for children, like you almost wonder, like, well, so how many people were surveyed, and like how many INFPs, like how do they determine this? I'm sure they, yeah, have their ways, but and then I can fast forward again to um, early this year, I guess. I mean, it's funny because I've always thought of myself as, I mean, I'm definitely like a happy INFP. I know there's more melancholic INFPs, but um, I've always been kind of the more happy type, but I did struggle with depression actually this year, which I never thought would happen. I actually thought I had adrenal fatigue because I was doing a very strong workout regimen, and I thought I exhausted myself, like exhausted my adrenal glands. I read all about it, and really that wasn't it. I saw my doctor, and my doctor um, did some blood work and said, no, your adrenal glands are working just fine. I actually think you're little mild depression. And, there's different reasons. I could see it now, like, midlife, parents are getting older. Um, you know, I wish I was a little further along in my life. I wish I could, provide better things for my wife and kids at this point, So, as we all know, INFPs don't like just kick ass in corporate world so much. So, you know, anyways, long story short, I had some. So this fatigue I had was depression, and I didn't know what it was at the time. I just know that I had like the extreme fatigue. It was really hard to get out of bed. Sometimes like when I was at work or working from home, like I would open the laptop and like couldn't function hardly. And so there were times where like I would just shut the laptop and go back to bed. It just work was not going to happen. It was crazy. So that was when I decided, okay, I need to go see a doctor and see what this is. If this is adrenal fatigue, let's get it checked. And for anyone who's kind of thought they maybe suffered from adrenal fatigue, you go to all the forums. There's just a million forums out there you read about adrenal fatigue, and you self-diagnose. Anyways, long story short, again, I went to the doctor and took the test. No, I think you have depression. And it was actually kind of a relief because I was avoiding caffeine all this time. Because if you have adrenal fatigue, caffeine is supposed to exacerbate it and all this good stuff. But anyways, I'm digressing so far. But anyways, during the depression when I was in bed and sometimes I had sleepless nights and I would there's a nonprofit here in San Antonio called Team Ability, and it's basically a nonprofit that caters to children with like multiple disabilities, severe disabilities, and I follow them on Facebook, and some of their pictures, same thing, it's just you can see some pictures and you're just arrested in the moment, like just taken aback by again their innocence. And there was one picture, several pictures. I'm just being totally honest here. Like just sent me into deep sobbing. There was this. I get he was a boy about 8. They have like a rehabilitation pool, and this one of the instructors or whatnot there, or one of the therapists, let's say, had one of the boys in the water, and the boy was on his back. He had sunglasses on and like almost like an oxygen tube thing here. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he was just on his back. I mean, I could tell he was kind of enjoying the water, but just I don't know. It's just and again, it's so hard to explain, but I just lost it. Just absolutely lost it. And sometimes you have these cries that are just so deep and crazy, and that happened multiple times on this site, this Facebook page, just looking at different pictures of these children, and some of them they're very. I mean, a lot of times they're not. A lot of them are barely functioning. Like they have rooms with like these bright lights just so they get some sensory stimulation kind of thing. So 99% of these people aren't able to speak or things like that. Anyhow, I'd be interested to hear maybe other NFs, other INFPs, if they have similar experiences. I mean, I probably didn't do this justice, but certainly when you come across disabled children, it really is. The affinity is real, and I remember, and one thing I guess I could leave you with is, and something I totally identified with, is I watched the Mr. Rogers documentary finally, and there's the one scene, maybe I'll post it here to close it out, but there's the one scene where he's at someone's home and there's a disabled child, I'm assuming maybe she had cerebral palsy too. And she's wearing a helmet, and she's talking to Mr. Rogers about how she drew this picture. And what I really resonated with was Mr. Rogers. It sounds weird calling Mr. Rogers, but Fred. I can call him Fred, but he was so dialed in, and that's his gaze at her while she was talking to him. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're an IFP, you get it. It's just super intense, just waiting on her every word, and it's just a great scene. But that's it. So in future episodes, I do want to talk about other almost extreme INFP-isms. One of them is the INFP nostalgia. And trust me, I have a few things to say about nostalgia, because that is something that's very, still to this day, I'm extremely nostalgic around things like Santa Claus, and making sure that it's super real for my kids. And I mean, not anymore, obviously. I have a 6-year-old and a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old. But there's some, I think, really cool anecdotes that I think y'all will enjoy. And also, I think I would love to talk about kind of INFP happy places. And I think some of you may not want to admit it, but I think INFPs love us some malls. I mean, it's just, I get the feeler perceiver, I guess. You go into a mall and it's just almost like a kind of a magical place. And airports are the same way. I want to have a video about airports, airport experiences. I mean, I think the INFP can really just, again, it's kind of a magical wonderland again. But let me close over here with Mr. Rogers. And if you have similar experiences being around disabled children, things like that, definitely, I want to hear about it. Talk to you guys soon.
Nature is a language, can't you read? Nature is a language, can anybody read? So ask me, because if it's not love, then it's the bomb that will bring us together. If it's not love, then it's the bomb that will